In recent years, there have been many technological advances in golf equipment and instruction. With the advent of new technology comes the rush to use it, and this rush may result in the technology being used before there is substantial evidence that it is beneficial. One such technology is video. Video analysis of the golf swing for instructional purposes is becoming more common in professional golf association teaching facilities, but the efficacy of video instruction has not been well documented. The aim of the present study was to determine the efficacy of video instruction relative to verbal instruction and self-guided golf practice. Method: 30 volunteers aged between 29 and 50 years were recruited from the community. Their golf handicap ranged from 7 to 16. The study adopted a 3 groups: video, verbal, self-guided in pre-test, post-test 1, post-test 2 mixed design. Group was a between individuals factor and test was a within individuals factor. The participants were randomly assigned to one of 3 conditions, 10 per group. Each individual also performed a pre-test in which they were required to strike 15 golf balls from an artificial turf mat. They were told that the success of each shot would be based on a combination of distance and accuracy. The target was a straight white chalk line running from the tee to a point 200 yards away from the tee. First, the landing point for each ball was determined, then, a perpendicular line was drawn from this point to the target line. The distance from where this line crossed the target line to the tee was labeled the total distance. Next, the perpendicular distance from the landing point to the target line was calculated. This distance was labeled the error distance. Accuracy distance was then determined by subtracting the error distance from the total distance. The calculations were based on all 15 balls and accuracy distances were recorded in meters. Accuracy distance was considered to be the distance the ball traveled relative to the target. The second dependent measure was variability of responses. This was designed as the variability or consistency of responding. The day after the pre-test, the participants in each group reported to the teaching facility for training at that group's assigned training time. The training times of the groups did not overlap. The participants began by warming up for 5 minutes. After, the participants completed a 90 minutes training session on each of 4 days. Each session was separated by 1 day. Therefore, the participants trained every other day and were asked not to practice or play golf other than during the study-sanctioned training session. During training, the participants in the self-guided group were asked to practice on their own as they would at a normal driving range. They were provided with as many range balls as they wanted and were only given the instruction to practice for 90 minutes. The participants in the verbal group completed this session with a PGA teaching professional. The teacher provided verbal feedback to the golfers with PGA standards. The participants in the video group also had a 90 minutes practice session with the same PGA professional teacher as in the verbal group. This time the teacher provided both verbal feedback and video feedback to the golfers throughout the session. Between groups there was an inverse relationship between instruction time and number of balls hit during a session. That is, the self-guided participants hit more balls than the verbal group, who hit more balls than the video group. However, the self-guided participants had less instruction time than the verbal group, who had less time than the video group. Results. The analysis of mean accuracy distance revealed no significant main effect for group, but there was a significant main effect for test with means of 122, 121 and 131 meters, respectively, for the pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2. Most importantly, the analysis revealed a group test interaction. Follow-up analyses revealed that the groups were not reliably different from each other on the pre-test or post-test 1. But the 3 groups differed on post-test 2. The video group was better than the verbal group, which, in turn, was better than the self-guided group. Because accuracy distance is a composite of total distance and error distance, separate analyses were conducted on total and error distance to provide additional insight into the mechanism of the changes seen across practice. The analysis of mean total distance revealed no significant main effect for group, but there was a significant main effect for test with means of 130, 128 and 136 meters, respectively, for the pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2. Most importantly, the analysis revealed a group test interaction. Follow-up analyses revealed that the groups were not reliably different from each other on the pre-test or post-test 1, but the three groups differed on post-test 2. The video group was better than the verbal group, which, in turn, was better than the self-guided group. Indeed, the pattern of results for total distance paralleled that for accuracy distance. The analysis of mean error distance revealed no significant main effects or interactions. The lack of significant results for error distance is important in light of the findings for accuracy and total distance. Because both accuracy and total distance changed across practice and error distance did not, it is logical to conclude that changes in accuracy distance were the result of changes in total distance and were not affected by error distance. That is, the total distance the ball traveled increased across practice but the error of the shot did not increase similarly. Since consistency of responding is important in golf, a second dependent measure was calculated to capture the consistency of responding. Variability data represent the standard deviation of scores. In other words, they represent the consistency of the shots. Variability of total distance represents the consistency in the distance the shots traveled. A low variability of total distance suggests little variability in the distance the shots traveled. Variability of error distance represents how consistent the shots were relative to the target line. A low variability of error distance suggests little variability in error of shots relative to the target line. Total distance and error distance were analyzed separately. The analysis for error distance variability revealed a significant main effect for test with means of 10.3, 9.9, and 7.1 meters, respectively, for the pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2. Most importantly, the analysis revealed a group test interaction. Follow-up analyses revealed that the groups were not reliably different from each other on the pre-test or post-test 1. However, the two instruction groups were significantly less variable than the self-guided group on post-test 2. The analysis for total distance variability revealed a significant main effect for test with means of 11.7, 14.6, and 8.2 meters, respectively, for the pre-test, post-test 1 and post-test 2. Most importantly, the analysis revealed a group test interaction. Follow-up analyses revealed that the groups were not reliably different from each other on the pre-test. However, the two instruction groups were significantly more variable than the self-guided group on post-test 1. On post-test 2, the video instruction group was less variable than both the self-guided and verbal instruction groups.